Come in, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please take your seat.
So before we start the interview, I just wanted to request that my right ear is actually clinically dead. So sometimes, although I can hear properly, ma'am, but sometimes audibility might be an issue.
Okay, absolutely no problem. Wherever you think you didn't hear properly, let us know. This one is okay, right? The way.
Yes.
Huh? Sit back and relax.
Yes.
And kind of apart from cough, are you generally okay?
Yes.
So cough is like every time you catch it when you come to Delhi.
I don't know, sir. Maybe this time the loo was there, and that's why I got it.
Okay. I'm sure you know that now that your interview is coming up on 25th.
Yes, sir.
One thing is you are going to continue to stay in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
And there are precautions to be then taken against like allergic possibilities and all, right?
Yes, sir.
And you are taking those precautions?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Partially, I am sorry we had to insist that you should please come in. I will tell you our thinking behind it. That come what may, you should be ready to face whatever is the situation.
Yes, sir.
Right? In administration, you never know what challenges are coming your way absolutely any minute. So, are you right now, is it okay to continue the interview?
Yes, sir. I will try my best.
Fine. I have personal reasons to be happy that you picked up physics as your optional subject. I like that subject.
Sir, first reason is that I have picked it up because my graduation subject has similarity to it. And second, sir, physics, I saw that generally the average marks are on the what is a good considered a good mark. So that also motivated it to me. And since civil services is a long preparation, one requires a subject where one has interest. So I thought physics will not keep me bored out of it, so I chose it.
Good. Are there some unsolved issues or problems in physics?
Yes, sir. Because, so one issue is that we have not yet been able to come up with a theory of everything. We have not been able to unify the gravity with the standard model. Second is that we have thought about quantum teleportation, but we have not yet to come across quantum teleportation. And third, we have not yet been able to create a Einstein-Rosen bridge, which is a wormhole. Yes.
Einstein made an attempt to come up with theory of everything. What is the name for his theory?
So I'm unable to recall that.
The conclusions of quantum mechanics and the conclusions of theory of relativity
Yes, sir.
are diametrically opposite of each other.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree?
Sir, I think initially Albert Einstein was of opinion that quantum mechanics did not work because God doesn't play dice. But I think over the time we have seen there is a convergence between the two. For example, Dr. Stephen Hawking, who was a famous cosmologist, he explained the Hawking radiation by incorporating the quantum effect near the event horizon of the black hole. So we suggest that there is really not really divergence. Although we have not been able to unify the both dimension, but I won't say they are diametrically opposite.
If I say that philosophically, theory of relativity leads us to determinism, while quantum mechanics leads us to freedom of will.
So it can be said because in general theory of relativity, we are trying to predict path of orbits and expand evolution of universe in deterministic way by looking at the position, velocity. While in quantum mechanics, it is leading us to the various possibilities because in Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, we think that whatever we are observing is because we have observed it. So Copenhagen interpretation said that there are thousands of possibilities for a state to be in, but when we observe it, it reduces to one of the possibility which we observe. So it can be said that it is our will and it is our observation which disturbs to the state.
So, how to reconcile this contradiction, freedom of will versus determinism?
So it's a bit difficult because the fundamental principle of quantum mechanics is Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which suggests that if we try to measure something with precision, the disturbance is inevitable. So he called it trade-off between determinism and error. So if we try to measure position with determinism, or any like we said that we want to observe an object, the other things will automatically get disturbed, and then we will not be able to identify it. So it's more like a combination of both. So I would not say that both are necessary, because it's like we can consider a matter as a wave and particle both. So we can consider it as a particle, we can consider, which is a deterministic way of thinking, and we can consider it as a wave, which is an undeterministic way of thinking, and both are needed to explain the universal phenomenon.
Good. Is string theory a possible candidate for theory of everything?
Sir, it has been thought about, but it has not yet been proven, because experimental research still don't suggest that theory of everything is possible from it, and the idea of imagining particles as vibration on a string is still not a evolved subject. It's something that we need to delve more and come up with more experiment to actually justify.
The string theory leads us to the mathematical conclusion that there are 11 dimensions, right?
Sir, I'm unable to recall it now. But yes, I have heard that is 11 dimension, but I think I need to read more about it.
And I suppose you must have come across Ramanujan's mathematics.
I'm unable to recall it.
Okay, no problem. Beautiful discussion. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
How are you today?
So, ma'am, I'm fine.
I'm audible to you? You're able to
Yes,
hear me?
ma'am.
Okay. So I want to first ask you, have you heard of something called demographic dividend?
Yes, ma'am.
What does it mean?
Ma'am, demographic dividend is expectation of economic growth resulting from changing demography of the population. For example, we are now having younger population, younger working age population, which means lower dependency ratio and more possibility of economic activity. So that is what demographic dividend is.
So do you think just having demographic dividend alone helps a country, or a country needs to also look at the skill sets that they need in the future? I'm particularly asking because you've been trained to be an engineer, and you have a particular kind of skill set. Now you're changing course and moving into another direction to, you want to become an administrator. Do you think that if a lot of people do this, does this help India's, India's claim that, it can benefit from the demographic dividend that it has?
Ma'am, we need to improve the skill sets. So because the world is becoming more multidisciplinary, and we need to have multidisciplinary skill set to actually being able to get demographic dividend. And regarding skills from engineering background to civil services, I think, ma'am, everyone who is in the civil services is going to face a diverse set of work opportunities. And there, I think having a diverse knowledge of skill set, including engineering, will help being a problem solver or being a good appreciator of new technologies. Yes, ma'am.
In the civil services, you have to deal a lot with the people, no matter what service you do. You need to have empathy, you need to be aware of your environment, and it was always traditionally believed that the social sciences prepare you better for that. Do you agree with that, or do you don't think it's a real necessity?
Ma'am, it is a necessity. I agree that social sciences have played an important role. For example, even in my college, I had enrolled in 4 humanities courses, and even was part of national services scheme. So I think they do play their own role in bringing empathy, and I don't think there is a need of creating a binary, because with more multidisciplinary nature of education, I think social sciences are getting integrated into even the sciences, and then the the distinction which we want to, the boundary we want to create is no more there.
You have written that you've done a fellowship, I think, in Germany. Were you there in Germany? Did you go to Germany for the fellowship?
So, ma'am, actually, I did the research internship, which was kind of a fellowship in Germany. The fellowship which I have mentioned, I have worked in the village of nearby Sitapur, Contain district, Contain village. So these are two fellowships.
Okay, so it was funded by a German.
No. Ma'am, the work in Germany is a research project which I have done in Germany in 2015 and 16
Okay.
summer, and the fellowship is the work I have done after graduation as part of a social leadership program in an NGO's school called Sorachana. I was there to actually for the holistic development of that NGO's school.
So, how was your experience in Germany?
Ma'am, as someone who went there for the first time in abroad, I think it was eye-opening. And sorry, ma'am, can I remove it?
If you are comfortable with it. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I think in Germany it was eye-opening experience because people were very punctual about their timing. Unlike in my college, people were passionate about the work they were doing. So a lot of people who are in the research sector were actually eager to learn. And third thing which I learned from Germany is that the professionalism was very up to the mark. For example, I remember once I asked my supervisor to send me a mail at 4:45. He said that the mail is prepared, but it's now going to be 5 o'clock. I will send the mail on the Monday because the next 2 days are my weekend to the family. So that kind of new environment I was there.
Are you aware of the big political change that has taken place in Germany, and how is, after several years, Angela Merkel is no longer there. So, is it impacting Germany? Are you still following what's happening there?
Ma'am, I think Chancellor Angela Merkel definitely had a strong image of good leadership, and she was one of the prominent leader of European Union. But I think with change of leadership, Germany has, I won't say fundamental policy change, but yes, ma'am, the new leader has to carve out his own legacy, and that's where I think he has to fight better because Angela Merkel's legacy is a big overshadow for her.
So he's starting from a position of disadvantage in a way.
Ma'am, I would say disadvantage for some perspective, but from one perspective it is a good start also, because then one has a lot of good competitive level. When the benchmark is higher, your performance gets better, and the performance for German people is what matters at the end of the day. So then that's
Thank
better.
you.
So to say, she also started from her mentor's shadows.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Who was her mentor?
Sir, I have to read more about it. I don't know. Yes, sir.
You spoke about, asked a question on demographic dividend. Is it demographic dividend India's strength, or is it demographic disaster for us?
Sir, this perception is coming out around because of skill mismatch and the fact that every year we are adding more than 10 million people in the workforce, and the number of jobs commensurate to that is not able to fulfill that. So sometimes people are saying that this is leading to a demographic disaster, but I will not say that. I will still say that it's a big term because we have still a lot of demographic dividend window, and the government of India has taken various measures like self-employment measure, promoting Startup India, as well as Skill India mission is being utilized. So I think it is a work in progress. I would not call it demographic disaster, but it does give us a caution that we should work very hard so that this dividend doesn't become a disaster.
How many educated unemployed join the mainstream every year? How many of them who are educated but unemployed every year add on to the demographic disaster? Any idea?
So I have to check the data. But that's
What do you think about the NEP, the new education policy?
So it's a long-awaited reform, policy reform, which is supposed to be there. It has now been there. It's a good step because it promotes the vocational education at a school level. Second, sir, it talks of multidisciplinary education, which is a emerging arena of field. Third, sir, it tries to de-burden the board education burden which is in the schools. It tries to focus on core competency of the students. And fourth, sir, I think the it has focused on improving the indicators among the backward groups, the socially disadvantaged groups. So I think it's a good policy in that regard.
Where did you do your 12th from?
So I did my 12th from Gorakhpur.
10th or 12th?
Both, sir.
Both. From Gorakhpur itself. Very good. And now having joined the IIT, you want to shift to administration.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think I wanted to. So, sir, when I was part of, I come from Hindi medium background, and during college I was.
Hindi हमारी मातृभाषा है.
Yes, sir.
Hindi मातृभाषा है.
Yes. And I was part of NSS, so that created a latent interest in my head that I want to do something to impact people's life. And then I did my fellowship for a year working in the village, and there I saw that it is the government which is the biggest service provider for underprivileged section. So I thought that it would be better if I go for civil services because it will provide that platform to me, and that's why I wanted to prepare for civil services.
What is the design thinking project at Leh you did?
So design thinking is a human-centered approach thinking. So whatever product we use, when we design it from the perspective of end user, it's a design thinking. In Leh, we were trying to identify the problem of an NGO called Pagir, which was run by Pagir, which was run by especially able people, and they had certain products made of biodegradable waste, but they were not able to market it. So what we did, we sold it at the Leh market platform for 2 days and tried to get what the end user feedbacks are. And then we also got them certain deal at military cantonment, which I'm happy to tell you they sold at the market. So design thinking helped us to identify what are the problems and lacunas in their product.
What was the product?
So it was purse, small purses. The diary was there, made of biodegradable waste. Then there was a keychain, Ladakhi hat keychain was also there. Then, if I'm not wrong, sir, there were small boxes made of biodegradable waste was there. Then male wallet was also there, apart from the female purses. Yes,
So there is a local demand there for this.
sir, tourists also take it because what we saw when we sold it, we saw that people were buying the purse, hat, keychain, and the diary in bulk. And the problem with them was that some of the products were MRP was outdated. Some of the product they had was having not finishing. Then also they did not know how to market it. So that's why we talked with local hotels and the restaurants that please put this product at your start so that it helps your cause as well as it gives them visibility. And then you can use that number to contact the people to get it sold. Yes, sir.
How did you get COVID? You're a COVID fundraiser.
Yes, sir.
How did you go about it?
Sir, during the first wave of pandemic, what we saw that earlier a lot of people were migrant laborers were stuck, and people were not able to pay the rent. Some of them were not able to have the mobile recharge so that they can contact their family. So India Fellow, where I was working, we had a contact of 47, 48 NGO and our own alumni, fellow colleagues. So we identified and got the contact account number of these migrant labor so that we can do the direct cash transfer to their bank account. And what we did, we used the crowd fundraising platform called Keto to raise around 2 crore rupees collectively.
2 crore.
Yes, and we gave it to 6,200 people. And those people who did not have bank account, we gave a kit of worth of 1,000 rupees, which included a ration, mobile charge, voucher, and other things.
As an India Fellow, what is your contribution to Sitapur? You work there.
Sir, I would not. 1 year is a small time to, little more than 1 year is a small time to say that I have contributed, but small contribution at my village level. For example, when I was working as India Fellow, I mentored 4 girls there, and I'm happy to tell that they were the first ones to step outside village, and they got selected into police constabulary, engineering entrance examinations. Yes. So a kind of role modeling effect was there. Yes.
You didn't think of going abroad like your classmates?
Sir, I did go to abroad on the scholarship during college.
No, for higher studies and work and migrating to the Silicon Valley or whatever it is.
Because sir, when I went to abroad, I understand that the lifestyle is good, and coming from a background where my father, like humble background, I think that attraction was there at earlier, but I think somewhere down the line my heart is still, it's fulfilling to say that, but my heart was belonged to the India. And when I went back to the village, even the experience was quite difficult and challenging because from a comforting environment to going to living in the school in the village properly. But I think after the year when I came back, I thought that it was quite satisfying, because to be able to contribute to someone's life is much better than working at some factory and coming back and just eating the food. So I thought that is the reason why I moved.
Delhi, Hindustan.
One can say that, sir.
Thank you. Good.
Hello, Praful.
Yes, sir.
Praful Kumar Sharma. Who was Praful Kumar Mohanta?
So is it Praful Kumar Mahant, the politician? Yes, sir. He is still a politician of Assam Ganan Parishad. He was the leader of Assam agitation in the 1985, which concluded the Assam Accord. Yes, sir.
He was also Chief Minister.
Yes, sir. He was elected Chief Minister twice.
So, in the context of what you were discussing, home for you is Gorakhpur?
Sir. Home for me is where my family resides and where my friends are there. So at present, home for me is Delhi. It can be Gorakhpur also. So I think it changes. But where my family resides is where my home is. Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, you went to Gorakhpur.
Yes, sir.
2 days ago.
Yes, sir.
Was that a terrorist attack?
Sir, there are linkages suggesting that it might be, but I think we need to wait for the independent panel, because other stories also says that this kid who tried to do it was also mentally retarded. So that angle has also come. But then, sir,
IIT chairman.
sir clearing IIT J doesn't mean that one is not having mental health issues, sir. So we have to wait for it.
I need to take 5 seconds. Mental retardation is different from problems of mental health.
Thank you, sir, for correcting me. Yes, sir.
So, according to you, was he mentally retarded or he had some mental health problems?
I think it would be mental health problem, because retardation would mean not having intellectual capabilities. But the fact that he is the student of IIT, he must have possessed some certain intellectual faculties. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
But Gorakhpur is where Yogi Adityanath comes.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of curiosity, can you tell me what the difference between Rishi, a Muni and a Yogi is?
Sir, this is something really interesting, but I am not aware of it. I will read about it.
You were in Germany. Tell me 3 different differences between the political system in India and in Germany.
So can I take a moment to think? I think, sir, there are certain differences. One is that although Germany and India both are federal republic, India has more diversity compared to Germany. The linguistic diversity is different. So India is, yes, sir. India is more federal in that sense. Compared to Germany, it's not that federal. The provinces are created for the necessity of doing the administration, unlike India where diversity and cultural considerations are also there.
Division of duties between the president and the chancellor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That is the other thing.
Now I want to know the difference.
Okay, sir. Sir, I think I am not aware of the difference. I will definitely read and check about it.
You were a lay. Sonam Wangchuk. What is his legacy?
Sir, he is a very important personality in the lane, because he was the person who led the Operation New Hope in Ladakh. And before Operation New Hope in Ladakh, the passing rate in board exams was 5 to 10%. When his SECMOL led the Operation New Hope by introducing new curriculum, improving the monitoring of teachers, the passing percentage increased to 70 to 75%. So that is one of the major contributions. Second, he also has tried to solve the agriculture issue by introducing the artificial glaciers, the called ice stupa. And then third, he has also tried to develop local tourism industry by promoting the homestay concept. I in fact lived on one of the homestay which he has helped create in Leh. Yes.
In the context of Sonam Wangchuk, what do you understand by the term IPR?
So is it intellectual property rights?
He has several of them.
Yes, sir. Yes. So intellectual property rights is a kind of right given to the innovator for their invention and for their contribution to the a new kind of process or product. Yes, sir.
How different is that from patent?
So patent is one of the IPR. Patent is for innovative products. IPR can include copyrights, IPR can include trademarks and trade secrets as well.
Gorakhpur close to the Nepal border. Recently, the two prime ministers together inaugurated a train going from India to Nepal.
Yes.
Where does that train to Nepal go?
So I'm unable to report. I will definitely read it.
Okay. Thank you. Wish you all the best. Over to ma'am.
Yeah. Praful, could you highlight or you can tell me what are hypersonic missiles?
Ma'am, hypersonic missiles are missiles which cruise missiles which fly at hypersonic speed, which is more than the 3 Mach, which is the 3 times the speed of sound. Yes, ma'am.
Recently, Oxuck is very much in news. What is that?
Can you-
AUKUS.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, AUKUS is a new partnership between Australia, UK, and USA, whereby the UK and USA are helping Australia get access to the submarines, and it is seen as a military alliance to actually help increase the defense capabilities of Australia. Yes, ma'am.
Which are the two countries which have made news in last 2 days regarding hypersonic missiles and why?
Ma'am, one is Vietnam, because Vietnam had concerns that our BrahMos, which is about to be in the hypersonic mode, ma'am, I think, am I going right? Because I'm
No,
not sure.
it's UK and Australia.
I think it's a
UK and Australia will work together to
Thank you, ma'am,
develop
for this.
hypersonic
And sorry for
missiles.
the
Yeah,
mistake.
because of the China's news that they are also going to.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
So you know something about Ladakh also. We had a long-standing dispute between India and China. So please highlight something on that issue.
Ma'am, basically the issue arises because there is a conflict over the perception of what constitutes our border. China has a different perception of border demarcation, while India has a different one. And because of that perception difference, there has been certain aggression on certain points on the Ladakh region.
Which are those points? You know, we have to be
Ma'am,
very
there is a
specific.
Gogra plain, there is Demchok point. Earlier there was a Pangong Lake Fingers also, but that area has been de-escalated. Yes, ma'am.
What's India's stand on that?
Ma'am, India's stand is to protect its border and to uphold its sovereignty and its territorial integrity. So in that aspect, India wants a discussion and bilateral mode of dispute resolution and de-escalation of crisis.
You are coming from a state which has 26 crore of population. And we were just talking about demographic dividend or disaster. My question is, what steps should be taken to control population in UP?
Ma'am, I think Uttar Pradesh government has taken steps. For example, we need to empower women so that fertility rate goes down. And the steps like Kanya Sumangla scheme, which is to promote the women education through a conditional cash transfer. And also we need to improve the women. So Kanya Sumangla scheme will address both things. Early marriage, if early marriage is not done, if their education is addressed, the fertility rate will go down. So that will address the population issue. Second, ma'am, there is a stigma around use of contraceptives. So that contraceptive stigma has to be tackled by innovative kind of campaigning, like you will use the word chhatri instead of contraceptive, so that people are more adapted towards it. Third, ma'am, I think we need to also understand the son meta preference is there. So people keep on having daughters till they get the son, as I also saw in my village also. So I think we need to focus on addressing this attitudinal change also. through various advertisement and by taking the confidence of local leaders who can influence the population to not.
Last 3 decades, do you have any innovative idea to it which can be adopted?
Ma'am, I would not say innovative, but we can we can take up some best practices. Like whenever a girl daughter is born, maybe the family, the village can come together and celebrate it in terms of giving maybe monetary assistance to the family, maybe planting some trees, or maybe SHOs and police member can go there and distribute sweets there. So the confidence of having a girl daughter and the stigma around is reduced. And I think the existing measures have worked because the fertility rate has decreased from 3 to 2.4 currently.
In our conversation, it appears you are very familiar with the functioning of village system. So after we introduced 73rd and 74th Amendment Act, what kind of changes have you seen in the governing system of village?
Ma'am, I think certain changes have happened. The first change regarding the at panchayati level is that more and more women members are getting elected, but certain issues are there because the phenomenon of sarpanch pati, where the husband who is very prominent politician.
Is it a term coined by media or is it really existing at village level?
Ma'am, sometimes in the village, whenever the posters are put up by the Mukhya, they actually literally put it like this, that Sarpanch and the Sarpanch Pati decides her. So that people know that it's a Sarpanch Pati who is in the power. So that's what I understand from it. I think even in my village I saw that this problem is existing. People, whenever the local Pradhan, the next term, the seat was going to be reserved for women. So he said, my wife will now fight it. I think this is one concern that is there. But 73rd, 74th amendment has also improved the governance because after the introduction of DVT, the Gram Sabhas and the Gram Panchayat has been influential in dispersing the funds for PM Awas Yojana because more and more houses are being built and during the pandemic we have seen a lot of NREGA works done, so which was also possible due to the active participation of Gram Sabhas.
Thank you so much.
What is Nath Sampradaya?
So Nath Sampradaya is a sub-Shaivite Hindu sect. It dates to Bhakti era because it's based on ritualistic Tantra Vidya, which inspires a teaching from Hinduism, Sufism, and Buddhism also. And sir, it is considered inclusive because it has had women and people from lower caste as yogis. Yes, sir.
What is its connection with Gorakhpur?
Sir, Guru Gorakshnath, one of the most popular Guru of Nath Sampradaya, his peeth or the temple is there at Gorakshnath temple.
And where does he come in the list of Navanaths?
I think sir, he comes in the second. The first is Adinath, if I'm not wrong.
First is Adinath?
Sir, Parshvanath or Adinath, I will recall. Sir.
Mixing between Jainism?
Yes, sir, I think I'm a bit forgetting it. I'll check over it.
Machindranath?
Yes, Mastindranath, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
What is list system?
So what is, sorry sir, I'm not.
The list system.
Sorry sir, I'm not.
I'll give you a hint. The German democracy operates on the principle of list system.
Can I take a guess?
Sure, always.
Sir, I think list system is where parties provide the list of the candidates and then people vote on the list. But sir, I'm not.
And what is Indian electoral method called?
First past the post.
What is the concept of fixed tenure?
That's the elected representative is elected for the fixed tenure.
No. The German parliament has a fixed tenure of 4 years.
Okay, sir.
There is no midterm election. There is no dissolution of the government. In fact, if midterm election is required, a constitutional amendment is required.
Thank you, sir. I did not know.
Does India have fixed tenure?
No, sir.
And what is the concept of no constructive vote of no confidence.
So it means that whenever we are presenting the vote of no confidence, we have to present a proposal of alternative government at the same time.
Does German constitution have this provision?
So from what I have understood from your discussion, it seems that it must have. Otherwise, it won't be.
An Indian constitution?
We don't have it, sir.
And the point is now what we discussed, not the answer to what he was discussing with you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I now understand.
How did you go to Leh?
Sir, we fundraised the amount for.
No, my question is about travel arrangements.
Sir, we first reached to Delhi, and from Delhi we reached to Leh through the airport.
So you flew.
Yes, sir.
Are there any precautions you took before you flew to Leh?
Yes, sir. So the oxygen capacity is lesser there. So I took a tablet. I'm not able to recall it.
Dimox.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Dimox I took it, and so the blood is thin, so I can take more oxygen. That issue I took. Yes, sir.
Who was Leibniz?
Sir, Leibniz was a philosopher based from Germany. He was pioneer in differential calculus, and he was also pioneer of monadology. Yes, sir.
You remember his time frame?
So somewhere between 1650 to 1750. But
Any of his great contemporary scientists somewhere in the world?
So is it Newton?
Yeah. So did Newton create calculus or did Leibniz create calculus?
Sir, if I'm not wrong, both of them created it independently.
Good. Thank you. All the best. Yeah, just in a minute.
Yes, NCR.
There were terms of reference given to that committee, and that included considering first past the line system as against the list system, or the concept of fixed tenure, and it has to go along with the vote of constructive vote of no confidence. You knew that answer, but its interrelationship with Indian constitution. And if you knew that, I was waiting for that, otherwise I would have taken the discussion too, okay, that in India we are thinking that we should have list system. In Germany they are thinking that they should follow the first past the line. And then I would have discussed the irony of human condition.
Because sir, in whatever system we have there will always be flaws. So people will always want to correct it, I think.
Otherwise, largely all excellent. Let me go through my notes. What you did initially is a very good thing to clarify to the panel. So the panel is placed in the knowledge of it, and then you are very good thing. Then I saw that for larger part of the time, especially after you also removed the mask, you maintained a smiling demeanor, a cheerful demeanor. That's a very good plus point. Physics discussion, of course, was utterly up to the mark, while there is always a lot to discuss. But it was beautiful discussion. You showed very good grasp of most of the issues, not just physics, but your answers reflected that you have understood the issue and speaking from conviction. You have also shown good anticipation. That is another mark of a good interview. Sir started asking you question about this project at Leh, and you immediately anticipated it and referred to Leh, which is a very good thing to do.
Sir, I did not understand. What is Leh?
I am trying to see here what is the problem. What did you do at Leh?
Sir,
Project
design project. Yes, sir.
Design thinking project.
He started asking question on the project, and you properly connected it to Leh, which in a way is an anticipation, because sitting here even I was expecting that his next questions are likely to be regarding Leh. Design thinking, yeah. One area we did not happen to cover today is blogging.
Yes, sir.
That will very much come up in the discussion. See, with Gorakhpur connection, Nath Sampradaya and also may. We never know, but may. From technique point, there were a couple of places where you either asked a counter question or gave the answer in the question format. So when sir said there is another Prafulla Kumar, you said, is it Prafulla Kumar Mahanta?
Because sir said Mohanta, but so I was not sure.
But don't respond with a question.
Okay, sir. Then,
Sir, I think it is Prafulla Kumar Mahanta.
okay.
Or sir, I suppose you are speaking about Prafulla Kumar Mahanta.
Thank
Just turn it into a statement. And while the essence, content and your answers are excellent, I suggest you to actually look at the whole panel when you talk to them.
Okay, sir.
What you are largely doing is just looking at the panel member who has asked the question and talking to that one particular panel member all the time. You may start your answer by looking at that panel member, but ensure that you look and thus you involve the whole panel in discussion. Again, it was very good when sir referred to Sonam Wangchuk to also relate it to that I have stayed in that village. It was a very good thing to do. On one or two questions by Madam, you had to say I am unable to answer or reply, which is all okay. But your voice lowered over there.
Yes, sir.
That I would suggest not to do. It's okay. It's perfectly okay to say I'm sorry I don't know. Lowering of the voice begins to indicate whether you are now losing confidence. Let that confidence level continue to remain high. You may also think of many IITians who have done India proud. If the discussion on IIT or brain drain, or like sir said, did you not think of going to Silicon Valley? Many, if not most of IITians actually end up in Silicon Valley.
Yes, sir.
At a point of time, the ratio was 85%.
In fact, my all batchmates are now NRI.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah.
Not even one.
Yeah. So you can cite how some IITians have done India proud. That number is also considerable. And finally, I am again happy to say excellent interview. To the best of our judgment, this will be beyond 185. But then as always, I would say if it is beyond 185 today, then on 25th of April, you should think of the best scores in interview. They are around 206, 8, 10. You have shown that entire potential. So go for it. We will look forward to your success.
Last year I gave the same interview here and sir was also there and the same marks were predicted and similar marks were given. So I had really good experience at Chanakya.
Great.
Yes.
Great. But last year, you got a service?
So last year, sir, I got 195 in the interview. The thing was that I got very low in the GS, so I missed the list by 2 marks.
Okay.
But I have gotten a service at International Financial Services Center Authority, not the civil services.
Yeah, you must have received it late.
Yes, I have received it yesterday.
Just yesterday. Okay.
Congratulations.
Great. So we look forward to you being like among the toppers this year.
So I will try my
Yeah. I'm sure you have worked on main exam.
So GS is this is good, but then I don't know what will happen to essay and interview.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All the very, very best. These are notes prepared by panel members.